let's move on to our next topic, which is Mecole returns. And I couldn't title the video or the thing "The Jet Lands in Kansas City" because we already did that. Not even a full calendar year from now, when Mecole was traded from the Jets back to Kansas City to finish out his career here. And we saw how last year ended, and he got to be the superhero and got to be the savior of the game. Mm-hmm. So we've seen how the offseason has gone and the wide receiver moves the Chiefs have made, but they've still opted to bring him back. So they've signed him to a 1-year deal. And so question I have for you, Lonnie, is what are the expectations surrounding the Jet, and could he be back beyond 2024?
Yeah, so I don't know. I'll be lying if I said I knew what the expectation was to when they brought Mecole Hardman back. I don't think there are any very, very high expectations, being that they drafted it to the likes of Xavier Worthy at that position, and they have a couple guys just ahead of him. I think this was more to the likes of the new kickoff rule, and just having some more options there, but also just to add another wild card to that wide receiver room that was very, 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 very ever so thirsty for a deep threat last year. And this was the guy that answered the bell. So I think if it's anything, this just shakes up the wide receiver room. I feel like this is not so much putting expectations on Mecole Hardman, because I feel like Mecole Hardman has superseded his expectation already as a Chief. What he did last year for the Chiefs, winning a Super Bowl, literally coming through and making some of the biggest plays of his career in the Super Bowl. So I think this is not an expectation so much for him, but I think it's expectations for the guys to the likes of Kadarius Toney and Scott Moore. I think this just adds a body to the room, and really just shakes that room up, and says somebody better be on their stuff coming training camp, because this is a guy I think that's already proven. He knows the playbook like the back of his hand. He can come in and play immediately. He's a step ahead of those guys like Kadarius Toney and Scott Moore, the guys that we haven't seen for a long time. So I think this, if anything, it just shakes up the room. I think he's already superseded his expectation as a Chief. I think his reputation precedes him as a Chief as of right now. He is going to have to make some wowing plays to make the roster, of course, but I think he has the capability of doing that. He didn't come in with chemistry with Mahomes at first, and then we seen him get it in the Super Bowl. He had some mishaps early on, got it together. This is a guy that was supposed to take Tyreek Hill's spot, for crying out loud. So I don't think there's any expectations there. I think it's some more expectations on the guys on the back end of the roster. But I like the signing, and like I said, no expectations for me. I don't think.
Honestly, I truthfully think his expectations for this upcoming season is to take like that 4th, 5th option. I think the Chiefs have came to a point to where they want to go into this year where they can make history of having guys who is familiar with what's going on, and we know that can make plays. Now, I know we have a history of, having our complaints about Mecole, but I think what people forget before that, even though he wasn't able to become that Tyreek Hill that we wanted him to be, playing with him as well too, and kind of soaking up that knowledge and just being a part of that type of group. But he is a red zone threat. People forget that in those previous years, like when we get to the goal line, he was our, quick pitch type of guy with the reverse or with the RPO and anything like that, but he just know how to get his nose into the end zone. And I think just having that in the time to where last season and then also the season before, we always had like little troubles of like getting in the red zone, in the red zone scoring touchdowns, and just bringing that back and having that other layer added to the offense, that's going to help the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I think we're not going in here saying that, he's going to be the number 2, number 1 guy. We already got past that. And then if you heard him on the pivot as well too, and he mentioned that like he knows his role now. He accepts that. So I don't think he's coming in wanting to make $30 million a year. But if he can come in, and I would say top that second season he had after his rookie year, where he put up nearly almost 700 yards, if you can even get close to that or get a little bit over that, I think what they will be fine with that, and they can offer him a long-term deal that is not worth as much. It's like one of those deals where it's like, you're not going to get the bag, but you just want to have a job going forward and try to get up into those years into your career to where you can just call it a day. I don't think he's someone who I think he understands he's not going over to a team and being a number one option. So it was best, and he said it as well too. I might as well come back to where it all started, to where I have a home, I have a place, and I understand the system, and I can be able to contribute to that. Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to win Super Bowls as well. And then if teams are not looking at me as a player who's going to get a big contract, okay, I might as well play with the Kansas City Chiefs, who none of you guys can beat, who always is playing in the playoffs and go deep into January and going into February. I might as well stay with that. So if he just stay healthy this year, and what I seen from him as well too, it looks like he got a little bit bulky. I saw a little bit of muscle. He's not just frail and little. He got a little weight on him now. It's probably going to take away from his speed element, but at the same time, you got to think about the injuries that he dealt with in prior years. I think he wanted to bulk up so he can be able to take those hits, because when he comes into this role, he's going to probably play across the middle, find the open reads, anything like that, get into open space. He might take a hit then and there, but he's going to have to hold on to the ball and just help us just move down the field, get those first downs. And when it's your opportunity to score touchdowns, that's when he's going to do it. So I love Mecole. I always have this back and forth on him. I talk stuff. I go on Facebook and all that as well. But I want to just put a fire in him. It's like, bro, you just irritating sometimes. That's all. But when you make plays, you make plays. So I go with that, but I am definitely happy for him to come back. I'm glad he didn't wait towards the end of the offseason, going into late into training camp, into preseason. Let me go ahead and lock myself in now, get to mandatory minicamp, get to St. Joseph in July, get ready for the preseason, and get ready to go for this 2024 and be a part of this three-peat.
Yes, sir. I agree with both of you. I think that the jump that we saw Mecole last year is kind of the Mecole that we hoped him to be. And I think he is wide receiver 4 without a doubt. And depending on the status of our next topic and how long his suspension could be, he could very well be in the top 3 of the Chiefs wide receivers. And people can agree or disagree, but he has familiarity in the system. Other than the 1 year that he got hurt, he's been pretty healthy. He's been sustainable in games. And if I'm kind of projecting here, I'm seeing Mecole's expectations to be the MVS of the last couple years, if not better. Possible more yards, possibly more downfield catches. Mecole is going to be that deep threat that the Chiefs have hoped to have. And now he's not the only option like he was when last season was underway and he was traded here midway through the season. I'm happy that he's signed back. We already know the money isn't that much, and he could definitely raise his stock. He could definitely raise the value of, his contributions to the NFL that may make another team be interested in him, or it just makes the Chiefs realize what type of a weapon he is and give him a, team-friendly deal that makes sense for Mecole. And Mecole's already been outside the organization once before, and he's seen how that happened. And so he's decided to come back to an organization that he trusts and has trust in him to do right by him and put him in the best situations possible. If all you're asking Mecole is to run deep routes and Mahomes finds him once or twice a game, I think we'd be absolutely thrilled with that type of contributions out of Mecole. And yeah, I think my expectations are even greater than what we've seen of MVS the last couple of years. I think Mecole is set to be what MVS was supposed to be. And Mahomes has already been with Mecole long enough where, I'm not saying Mahomes absolutely trusts Mecole and knows exactly where he's going to be and if he'll catch the ball. But it's clear in the Super Bowl that he had enough faith in Mecole to throw that deep bomb up, and that Mecole came down with it and then he trusts him enough to run the last play of the game that sends the Chiefs off as back-to-back champions. So I think Mecole could set himself up really well for next season. And the fact that he came in, he signed early, he's a part of OTAs, he's trying to be in the training process. So he's allowing the Chiefs to figure out that role for him. And, one thing that Andy Reid loves, he loves, smaller but speedier slot guys. And Mecole definitely fits that build. And it seems like the Chiefs are definitely trying to build their wide receiver room all in that way. They had MVS, who's a tall, lanky guy, and he didn't pan out. So now the Chiefs are going back to the well and going back to their preferred type of receiver, and up to Andy Reid to put them in the opportune places, and it's up for Mahomes to find the open man. And if you give Mahomes enough time to throw the ball, he will find the open man. And I think that, barring a couple of positions on the offensive line that have still yet to be solidified or dealing with some injury concerns at the moment, Mahomes will have plenty of time to find whichever wide receiver is open. And just having one more speedy guy has enough rapport with Mahomes to, have that connection and the confidence of each other. I could see Mecole doing, great things this season. I'm not saying 1,000 yards and 100 catches or whatever. I'm saying he will fill the role that he is placed in beautifully. And that's all we need Mecole Hardman to do for this Chiefs offense.
And give 100% effort. I'll let you go, Lonnie.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, like you said, no expectations, right? But I would be lying if I said, okay, they signed Mecole, and I know for sure he's coming in. He's wide receiver 4 or 5. Like, we have 2 guys on the roster that were a 2nd-round pick and a 1st-round pick, like that are younger than Mecole Hardman. So it's just like that's why I said that when I go back to my take is I feel like it's just putting expectations on other guys because he's a guy that right now I think is just like he's just anything he does now is just a plus. Like he's already wowed us. And I'm not trying to just be sliding, but that's what we wanted to see from him. We want to see you perform in big situations, come through in those big situations, in big moments, live up to the bill to who Mecole Hardman was supposed to be, make those same plays that Tyreek Hill made for us, and he did that. So I feel like anything else now, it's like you're playing yourself out if you're one of those 4 or 5 guys. Kind of like with this signing. You better do something amazing because I feel like this guy is already made the route. Like he knows everything that he needs to know for as far as the Chiefs go. And if he, like you said, if he makes any plays this year, any more plays and big plays in the postseason, I feel like he's just solidifying himself as a Chief long term.
Yeah, no doubt. Go ahead.
Mecole just need to have 100% effort. I'm gonna be honest, and people might get on me for it. Give 100% effort, play out the entire play, even on those deep balls, because you be having guys beat, kind of play for the ball a little bit more, even if you have to die for it. If you make those type of plays, I'm gonna be completely honest, he will beat out Kadarius Toney and also Sky Moore. Just because I feel like being someone who came in under Brett Beach, who had a lot of high hopes for him, and then out of nowhere he just able, and then he just excels in this upcoming season, and then it's making the offense a lot better as well too. Kadarius, only reason why I give him a lot of, I give him, the opportunity because I feel like Reach went out of his way to pick him up during that trade deadline. It was like he can be that guy. I'm gonna talk about it later on in our last topic where who I feel is really on a cusp and needs to really show out in this training camp going into preseason. Because Mecole, if you look at it, Kadarius, he gets open, right? Mecole, if you look at him as well, honestly, he gets open as well too. And then we didn't see him make big plays from the punt return and even within the offense as well. If it's a jet sweep or we find him on a quick screen and he just make a play and score a touchdown, we saw him make those type of plays. We want Kadarius and Scott Moore to do more of that. That's why it's like, You coming in a little bit bulkier. I like that. You're trying to show signs of that. You're going to be healthy. When Mecole was healthy, he was a great third and fourth option for us. He was better than MVS. Just 100% effort. Play it out. Keep on running hard because you're there. You're there. And I think that's why Mahomes wants to go after him, because it's like he's playing that game where, bro, I want to go deep. If I find you open, I'm gonna throw it. Just keep on going. Now, I might make you look good sometimes. You might make me look good sometimes. But some of those plays he's had, I don't think he would have had issues going anywhere else if he kept up the effort, because the talent is there. And that's why they reached in the second round for him.
No doubt. Chiefs love their speedy guys, and Mecole is definitely up there. Chiefs definitely have guys on their roster who have speed, and definitely the speediest of all probably will be one of the guys we talked about in our last segment. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow us on all our social media platforms at Red Kingdom Media. If you enjoyed that, make sure to check out the full-length episode below.